Nobody knows. You don't know, you don't know, nobody knows. All right, and action. Hi, I'm Jonathan Boehr, and we're sitting here by the Hudson River in New York City, New York. I work as a product researcher and a mentor to other UX design students, and I am a graduate of the CareerFoundry UX program with the UI Specialization. My neighborhood. Why? Because it's you get multi-generational families. You get families that have been here for a long time. You get neighbors that talk to each other. You get dogs and kids and parks. It's very comforting. It's very welcoming. Also rich in culture. And it's quiet, and it's still like a little bit of a secret. We are in Manhattan, but because we're on 175th Street, it's still Manhattan, but nobody's gonna venture all the way up here. So it stays very local and community-oriented. I'm fortunate to be able to work remotely in my home. So in the morning, I spend time with my family. Take my daughter to school. She goes to daycare in the morning. And then I'll come back home and I'll look over my emails and industry news and read up on some publications. And I check in with my teams, find out how the day's going and the project's going until about lunch. And most of the afternoon, I work independently, and I try to preserve my evening with my family. I'm learning. If I'm being honest, I'm learning to deal with it. The pandemic turned everything upside down. My background is in humanities and education, so I'm used to being in public forums and interacting with folks and seeing faces. And now everything I do is remote from my home. People don't even turn on their cameras for a Zoom or something, so it's very impersonal, and it's taken a lot of getting used to. But New York is a fantastic place to work in tech. There's, every major company is here, of course, and you meet a lot of like-minded, creative, technologically sound friends and associates. It's a great place to build a network. One is be patient. First and foremost, be patient with the process. As hungry as you are to get started and excited as you are to embark on this industry and find your place, the rest of the world is not going to match your excitement necessarily, and you have to be patient with it and find your own place and move slowly. And the other thing is that working in New York can be a challenge because there's so much competition here. So another tip that I offer others is to choose recruiters and companies that are actually not in New York City. Live here because it's a lot of fun, but if you want to swing the ratio more into your favor as an employee and have a better chance at an opportunity, you might venture to other cities to find work if you are able to do it remotely. One is build a network of people that you trust and you can confide in and you can cry to and share your struggles with and gain tips from. Number two is find somebody who's much more knowledgeable than you and much more experienced, and latch onto them and seek out mentorship and see if they'll help you grow your skills and learn some new methodologies. And third is align yourself with companies that you trust and believe in. A healthy work environment, where it's inclusive, accessible, respectful, that can influence your day-to-day drastically. I first found out about UX design because my wife is a graphic designer. My background is in education, data analysis, content structuring, targeted objectives, this kind of logical reasoning. And she knew that it wasn't for her because she's much more visually inclined. She likes to draw and create fine art, but she thought that it would be great for me. And the education world took a hit with the pandemic. And I needed to know where I was going to be next. With a background in media and education and data analysis and behavioral studies, I wanted to find a way to merge all of those things, and that's how I landed on UX. So I was looking for a little bit better income I was looking for more value and appreciation for the work that I can provide. I was looking for a new and exciting way to bridge my skills and create a new life for myself moving forward that would be more sustainable and had a more potential in the future, more long-lasting effect. UX design is about making people's lives easier, solving their problems, making processes more efficient, giving users a faster path towards their goal, and making business more efficient as well. In a creative, logical, psychological way, these are all interests of mine, so I knew it was a good fit. I was shooting handheld video, interviewing celebrities, going to their film premieres or award shows or photo shoots or whatever, and doing behind-the-scenes interview with them. Had the chance to work on Fashion Week and a lot of film launches and get to know some high-profile folks. But then that industry kind of changed about 20 years ago. Some of it due to 9/11. Everything moved online. The nature of entertainment was changing. I went into education. I was working with special needs children. Went back to school, got my own degree so I could be a teacher in Harlem, tough communities here. And I wanted to have a greater impact. And so, again, media, logic, behavior, that's how I found UX design. I've done a lot of cool stuff. I did a movie for Jay-Z. I did every brand you can think of at Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, for like 5 or 10 years. I was backstage doing that. I did the Grammy Awards, all kinds of stuff. Lots of music, lots of film, a lot of celebrity content. That's really a tough question for me, if I'm being honest. I feel that I have yet to make my Eureka moment. I feel that I've been on the job now 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. And I'm constantly learning. I constantly feel new and inexperienced. And I like coming from that angle and having something to look forward to. And I have yet to achieve my crowning moment in UX, which I look forward to all the time. First piece of advice is to be extremely patient. Go in with open mind, open ears, open arms, and absorb as much as you can. Understand that you're coming in as a junior and people will treat you as such. You won't be getting big glamorous projects and lots of money up front. That you still have to prove yourself. Even though you've Googled the salary and it says 6 figures, as my wife likes to say, they don't just give you 6 figures for nothing. You're gonna have to prove yourself and do some real work. 2 would be to understand that it's not just visual design and making things colorful and beautiful. There's a lot more that goes into it. In fact, that's more geared towards UI. UX is more about solving problems, observing behaviors, interviewing users, dealing with their frustrations and pain points, and finding logical responses and solutions to help them. That's really what UX is. And so if you think it's all graphic design, it's very different than that. And number 3 is there are tons of really brilliant people in this work, cultural anthropologists and user-centered design PhDs and all these folks, and that you should find as many knowledgeable, experienced folks and learn as much as you can from them. So I knew that I wanted an expedited path towards certification. So I guess it started with a Google search of reputable boot camps. And I evaluated them for cost, time commitment. Was I going to have support finding a job, crafting a resume and a portfolio? I needed that support because I really had no experience coming in. And what would be my relationship with mentors and tutors? How closely would I be aligned? How much face time would I actually get with some of these experts? And so that was my evaluation process. And I arrived at CareerFoundry because it checked the most boxes. CareerFoundry, the price was reasonable, the time commitment was good. The job prep portion was really attractive to me, and getting one-on-one time with mentors and the tremendous support staff that CareerFoundry provides. In one word, worthwhile. And the reason is because it's a huge undertaking. It's a tremendous amount of material to learn and consume and understand, and it can take months and months. I probably hadn't spent that much time learning anything in a very long time, and I thought that the challenge was pretty daunting. But in the end, it was tremendously rewarding, very exciting, and it made me very proud. I had responsibilities outside of my studies, which I had to take care of, and I found any open time that I could to make progress on my assignments. And I wasn't able to complete one task every day, and I wasn't able to dedicate that much time, but I knew that if I kept making progress and moving forward, that eventually I would reach the finish line. And I just kept my head down and tried to keep advancing, and eventually I was successful. It's a good question. I like to buy myself dinner on Friday night, knowing that it's been a fulfilling week and that I've been productive, and you should always reward yourself after you give any amount of effort. So as I was studying, actually, my wife was very pregnant with our first child. And so I had to be there for her. And I was working, doing nights as a bartender and managing a restaurant. And so my schedule was very much up in the air. And again, I had to find any open room to continue my studies. So I was very much part-time doing my CareerFoundry. But again, I just tried to keep moving forward. I didn't set really a timeline for myself. I suppose it's suggested that it could take 10 months or something. And I tried to kind of block that out and move at my own comfortable pace. And I ended up coming in under the recommended time span. I think it was 8 months for me when they said 10. And I just tried to give it my best and keep moving forward. Yeah, time management, I think, is the most challenging aspect, because you know that you have to give your energy to all of these different areas of life. And you know that maybe something that you're studying now will only come to fruition in the near future, and it's hard to see where this is all going. Time management and having energy for everything was really, really challenging. But I knew that it was only short-lived, and that things would smooth out once I had this achievement in hand, and I would have a little more clarity on where my life was headed. Flexible learning approach worked well for me because my schedule was very sporadic. Each day was different, and I liked the ability to log on whenever I was available. Like I said, even in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning when the rest of the house is sleeping, any available time that I had, I tried to spend it with CareerFoundry, knowing that this was going to be something that would pay off for me in the future, and it was really important work. Work-life balance was a challenge, trying to fit it all in. My wife was probably going to kill me at certain points. But it's been worth it. It's been a great experience. The support staff, you know, I really couldn't have done it without the support staff. Knowing that my tutor was waiting for my assignment, knowing that I had booked a call with a mentor that I was going to stick to, knowing that the job prep folks were waiting for me to go over my resume. When I knew that there was somebody on the other end of the line that was kind of looking forward to my next submission, that kept me motivated. Yeah, it's daunting to go in alone, isn't it? Like when you're completely alone trying to navigate all this new information, something you may or may not know about in advance, and you're consuming so much and intimidated perhaps by some of the experts that you're talking to, but they were very welcoming to me. They were very nurturing to me. They had tremendous insight and tips to share. And I got a lot of value over the conversations that I had with each of these contributors, and it kept me motivated and moving forward. I learned that tutors are really interested in checking your assignments, making sure that all of your work is there against the rubric that's been provided, and they might give you a few tips about how to take your work to the next level, but they're mostly interested in your submissions. The conversations that I had with my mentor, I still remember vividly to this day because that advice was really invaluable, and I appreciated that somebody was dedicated to looking at my work and meeting me where I was in my career and my personality, and it wasn't just some script that they read off to every student. They really looked at where I was and what I wanted to do in the future and helped me get there. Absolutely. Yeah, my mentor shared with me some amazing guidelines. They told me ways of looking for jobs that I hadn't thought of. For example, most people would run to LinkedIn, check job postings, and my mentor said there are a lot of other ways to meet people in this business. The potential to land the job will be much greater if you can swing some of these opportunities more in your favor rather than just cold applying to a job posting on LinkedIn. I have two answers for that. One was my mentor was impressed at my background as an educator, and he added immediate value by saying, while you're working on UX, how can you bring all that you've learned from education and create immediate value in the world of UX? And I was inspired to actually become a tutor and a mentor for CareerFoundry because of that. The other piece of advice that he gave me was, and this term gets thrown around a lot, this personal brand thing, which I may or may not agree with, but I think that everybody's trying to be an influencer and try to like shake things up. And I come at it from a different angle. When thinking about my brand, it's more of like my story. What all happened before UX? I don't believe so much in the term career change. I believe in evolution. I believe that your story is continuously being written, and therefore everything that happened before, while it's not UX or not tech, I can bring those skills with me and it's a part of who I am. So that is my brand. My brand is that I have a background in media and education, and that is my value that I bring to UX. And that's what my mentor told me. Yes, so as a new learner, I was hoping to have as many eyeballs on my work as I could, and the opportunity to talk to a variety of people about my work and about their experience really informed my process and my knowledge. It wouldn't have been the same if I was just talking to one person who was giving their one perspective to me and telling me their one story. I had the opportunity to network with quite a lot of people through CareerFoundry, and that really enhanced the experience for me. You know, when I had created my first working prototype, that totally blew me away. You know, I had never done anything like that before, and start the process from scratch and go and talk to the users and follow the UX design process, and eventually having a working prototype with my design in it was unbelievable to me, that I had accomplished something, you know, and really could stand on the preparation that I had done throughout the process and say, like, I actually listened to my users and I actually created these wireframes and I sketched these design and whatever it was, and I was very proud in that moment. It was magical, honestly, to complete the program. It had tremendous impact on my life. It was really rewarding. Not to mention this was the height of the pandemic, so everything else was very strange to me, and it was hard to find glimmers of hope and happiness. And I was lucky to be able to complete the program in an otherwise terrible time, and it brought me a lot of joy and a lot of hope. I bought myself something nice. I collect records, vinyl records, and so I bought myself a couple records to treat myself. But I also believe in, like, don't spend the money until you actually have it in your pocket. I wasn't gonna act like I was already making six figures, you know. I was trying to keep it under wraps and stay calm, but I was very, very excited for what the future held.
Just spending that future money.
Yeah, and honestly, like, you know, coming in as an educator, you mentioned the value of a mentor. I immediately turned around and I said, how can I be a part of this program, and how can I give back and influence some other learners' lives based on the success that I've had and the appreciation that I have for this program. And I immediately turned around and wanted to be on the other side of CareerFoundry, helping some other learners come in. I didn't utilize the student community as much as I probably should have. I didn't have a running cohort of students that I referred to on a regular basis. I more used it as like sort of a private community of like-minded folks. We could talk about CareerFoundry, we could talk about the assignments, but it was also sort of a personalized community of like-minded people that I could then network with and stay in touch with as we all moved on. I probably would have, I didn't have the opportunity, but I would have liked to have dedicated more full time to my studies so that I could finish the project more efficiently. And I would also have done a parallel design process to the CareerFoundry assignments so that at the end of my portfolio, I could have double work to show. I think coming into the professional world as a student and that you have only one project on your portfolio and you're not sure how that's going to be received, and you want to have a lasting impact on your potential employer, it's better to have more work. And so I probably would have taken on my own design on the side, so I would have a more robust portfolio to show at the end. Well, I think that the mini project that happens in the introductory period, where you don't get to do all of the skills, but you get a little taste, and that the project is based on learning, mine was anyway, learning vocabulary. And the user research aspect of that was really impactful to me because you're starting to ask people about how they learn and how they absorb knowledge, and you're just getting a little taste of how users interact with technology. That was really fascinating to me. And I knew that I was on the right track with this chosen career path. When I finished the UX immersion process, I knew the options I think were for voiceover, UI, and front-end development. I knew that I wanted to get additional study in something I felt like I was lacking. And I knew that I'm not necessarily talented in UI, and so I should pursue that and build my studies around that and try to gain as much knowledge as I could. Even though my skills were not up to par, I wanted to make sure that I exposed myself to that part of the UX design process as well. Yes, absolutely. It is important to avail yourself of the different contributors to the UX design process. And even in my professional work now, and the conversations that I can have with my development team and my UI designers, I can recall my learning through CareerFoundry, the skills that I was taught, and have better, more meaningful conversations, make the design process more efficient, the development process more efficient. And I think they appreciate that I can meet them on their level. It's an old cliche, right? But what you put into it, you will get out of it. Don't be in a rush to finish the program. As much as we all want to get paid and have this glamorous title and a little more job security in our life, don't rush. Do take the time to absorb all the resources, all the conversations, all of the course content, because it will enrich you and make you a more knowledgeable person in the industry, as opposed to just saying I'm done, I'm ready. And then you go into a new work environment and you find out oh, I actually don't know as much as I should here. And I should have paid more attention. So that's number one for sure. Yeah, be open and honest. Recognize your flaws and your deficiencies perhaps in skills, and look for ways to improve that. But understand that the community will hopefully support you as well. And it's been a very welcoming community to me, and a lot of people who are willing to share their ideas and their knowledge. And hopefully by being open and honest with them, they will in turn embrace you, and it will be a really meaningful relationship with some of your contacts, as opposed to just working together. It's very difficult. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I expected it to go a little faster, and perhaps I was a little overconfident and arrogant coming out with my new certification in hand, thinking that it was going to happen overnight, and to send out resumes all day long and not hear back for months and months on end, that can be kind of soul crushing. And so I thought it was very challenging, but then I found new avenues to make myself more attractive, to spotlight myself more, and put myself into more advantageous situations that could lead to employment. I approached recruiters, for example, as opposed to just cold applying to positions that I saw online. I tried to develop personal relationships, so now we're looking out for each other as opposed to just being another resume in the pile. This particular tutor was very warm and welcoming and never turned me away, even though he told me that the focus of his job role was to really check my assignments. And so I really appreciated that. My mentor asked me about what I was looking for, what skills I brought, and helped me find a path that was appropriate for me and my background. It was not just cookie cutter. It was not just a speech that they gave to all candidates. And I appreciated that personalization and that attention to detail that they provided. And then also the job prep coach I spent some time with as well, who helped me get my deliverables, my materials in order, and find meetups and ways to link up with people in order to find opportunities in the job space. But it does take many months, and it is a long process. Absolutely. You know, this whole like ghosting world, this impersonal world where you make this cover letter and you personalize, you know, your resume and you get your application in order and then you just don't hear back. It's like, it's really debilitating and frustrating. Imposter syndrome, not knowing if the industry will accept you, if you're even able to do what you've set out to do. And being new at something, being fresh at something. I'm not a young person anymore, and I haven't been fresh or new in an industry or a community for a long time, and being new at anything is a challenge. Yeah, so when I came to CareerFoundry, I think I was 38 years old, and I already almost had 2 careers before it. Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, you know that coming into a working environment, that there are going to be people who are older than you that have been doing this for 25, 30 years or something, kind of the gatekeepers. And then there's a new crop of graduates for me that are even 20 years younger than I am, that are excited to get in the industry, and they're truly juniors. And so my identity is a little bit confused, right? Because I'm an older person, but I'm a new hire. And I'm new to the industry, and that's kind of takes some getting used to. I'm still getting used to it. Yes, absolutely. I have had the opportunity to develop both hard and soft skills in other lines of work for the last 20 years of my professional life that are a gift, are a tool that I now have as a part of me that does give me an advantage. I know what it's like to start a new job. I know what it's like to switch industries already. I know what it's like to be the new guy. And I actually feel a little bit more comfortable than if I was like, you know, in my early 20s, fresh out of college or whatever it might be. I've already been there, and I feel a little bit more comfortable walking into a new environment. I mean, there's nothing like it, to be honest. I was a little bit scared because anything new is scary, and I wasn't sure how I was going to be accepted and how I would fit in. I hoped that people would be patient with me and my work and be willing to coach me and share and leave room for me to adapt to the new job and the new work environment. And I was fortunate to have that. But I was very excited to take on the new opportunity just the same. And I was looking forward to the future and what's coming up for me. I think my wife and I went on a small holiday trip away just to take some time to celebrate before I really had to put my head down and get working. I made sure to take a moment, reflect on how far I had come, the growth I had made, and celebrate my achievement. I think change of anything is difficult and daunting. I think changing your hairstyle can be off-putting and scary. Change is good. I'm a person who embraces change, gets excited about change. I'm not somebody that needs a plan for everything. I would rather let things organically happen and just latch on for the ride and see where it takes you. I think that's when living really happens. I think life happens when we are out of our comfort zone and we try new things. In this big world of UX, the most rewarding part was finding my special little space. I am drawn to the humanitarian aspect of UX work. I love going to users and interacting with people and finding out what their frustrations are and where breakdowns in communication may be with technology, and finding ways to make their life easier and solve some of their problems. And then I get to pass that off to a tremendously talented development team and visual designers who do incredible work. And together we get to create some magic. This hasn't come out yet, but I had like a rough early life. I have been at the very bottom. I've had really nothing. I didn't know where I was going to live or where I was going to eat, and I have had tremendous hardship. And I was looking for a community that would embrace me for my personality and my skills and allow me to contribute. And I have found it. And I was working as a teacher, putting in weekend hours, nights. I was having panic attacks. I was having physical ailments in my body as a 30-something-year-old person and really struggling, and only making about $45,000 a year. And I was in tears sometimes when it was a tough day at the office. And I said to myself, this is not worth it. This is a little bit crazy. I love education, but there's a lot that needs to be changed there. And so I need to swing the pendulum more towards value and mental health and taking care of myself and my family. And I feel extremely lucky to be where I am every day. Absolutely, yeah. Community aspect, meeting people from all different backgrounds, people that really want to create change in the world and innovate designs and push boundaries and try new things. That's really exciting work to be a part of. Yeah, it's a good question. Right now I'm working for a mega corporation, and thereby I remain a little bit anonymous, and it's hard to find my real impact, even though I know I'm contributing to the greater project, but there's not as much recognition. And so I would like to try something where I can wear a lot of different hats and push some more boundaries and have a little bit more creative freedom. I mean, believe it or not, I would choose mature. I think my work life is much more mature than it's been. I think people are speaking in a much more refined, serious language and tackling real problems and having real impact on users, on companies, on products. And I have not experienced that in the past. And so I feel like I've entered a new realm, like a higher order now, where there's tremendous opportunity and excitement to move forward. And I'm just getting started. I'm embarking on something I'm on the tip of the iceberg. And so I'm learning every day.